This is not a drill, chosen one. The divine is giving you one last warning. Right now, the invisible forces, mysterious, strong particles, are rapidly approaching your house. They are not merely arbitrary. Their force has the potential to disturb your life, tranquility, and very existence. If you do not take fast action, these forces will breach your fortifications and strike mercilessly. An old, potent sign that you may place in the front of your house is the sacred answer that God Himself has revealed. This goes beyond simple ornamentation. This is a heavenly stronghold and spiritual barrier that will halt these negative forces in their tracks. You expose your family and yourself to unfathomable powers if you do not have this protection. Forces capable of causing disorder, disease, and bad luck. Don't disregard this message. For the selected ones, this is a call to arms. Those who are prepared to face their fears and assert their divinely granted protection. Time is running out. Before we go into this transformative message, the particles are getting closer by the second. Pause this video for a moment and complete these 3 tasks. To help us achieve 95,000 subscribers, click the like button, subscribe, and leave a comment with the number 99. The energy of this movie will be amplified by this quantity, which will send a strong signal to the cosmos. You must take action if you're concerned about your spiritual destiny, your family's safety, and your future. Put this strong symbol on your door right now, or else you may suffer lifelong repercussions. This is your divine mandate, your holy task. Will you be resilient and defend your house? Or will you live a lifetime of regrets? You have an option, but keep in mind that God is raising an unavoidable alert when He says, "Hang this now." A profound and urgent message is being delivered straight from the heavens. We are soon approaching invisible forces that are unlike anything we have ever encountered. These are not typical particles or elements found in nature. They are very powerful spiritual beings that were created from humanity's faults and collective darkness. Those who are spiritually sensitive should be ready right away, since their presence is a blatant indication that the spiritual world is uneasy, because it foretells a spiritual tempest of unprecedented proportions. This heavenly alarm requires our undivided attention. Imagine a quiet invasion that targets the body and spirit deeply while evading the senses. The particle's destructive energy has the potential to devastate the chosen people's life, those who pursue a life of spiritual consciousness. Time is of the essence. Ignoring this warning might have serious repercussions for one's spiritual as well as bodily health. The ferocity of this heavenly warning is comparable to the biblical summons for repentance in the ancient past, when the heavens parted to convey pressing warnings to humanity. The message is personal and obvious now. Protection is necessary and not optional. Your health, the peace of your spirit, and the entire core of your existence are on the line. Before it's too late, will you pay attention and take action? Why is this occurring now, you could ask? Why are just the selected ones being targeted by these enigmatic particles? What makes you unique is your spiritual sensibility. Those who have discovered a closer relationship with God are the selected. Conscious people are aware of the spiritual vibrations all around them. Ordinary people go about their lives unaffected by this spiritual disruption, but you are distinguished by your acute awareness. This targeted targeting is a test of faith and fortitude rather than a kind of punishment. There is a spiritual glow in the selected ones. Ironically, those who want to dull that light are drawn to it. Imagine it like a lighthouse calling out to the darkness. Ordinary people who are not yet aware of the complexity of the spiritual realm are protected from these forces, but you, with your spiritual abilities and knowledge, are at risk. This necessitates alertness and prompt action. If this communication is reaching you, take it as confirmation that you are one of the selected. This is supposed to inspire a strong will to defend what is sacred, not to frighten you. Your body, your soul, and your relationship with God. Although it's a blessing, your spiritual sensitivity requires prudence and responsibility. The spiritual world is in turmoil during these tumultuous times. It is bringing to light the pollutants and negativity that have been amassed over many centuries due to human sin. Every act of treachery, animosity, self-centeredness, and injury is not just concealed in the physical world. It contaminates the invisible realms where our souls reside by leaking into the spiritual environment. God uses this spiritual extraction as a means of purification. However, there is a price for it. Think of the spiritual realm as a huge ocean where every bad action creates unavoidable poisonous spots. At this point, these patches are disintegrating and releasing strong, charged particles into the atmosphere. Like a spiritual storm spawned by humanity's collective shortcomings, the released energy is unadulterated, erratic, and hazardous. It seems as though the spiritual world is attempting to purge itself, but the chosen, those closest to the divine light, are affected first. There is an immediate requirement for protection because of this continuous exploitation. Those who shine brightest might be engulfed by this spiritual filth if it is not cleaned up. The particles are not arbitrary. They are immediate reactions to the imbalance in spirituality brought about by neglect and sin. In addition to cleaning the earth, it is a cosmic summons to purify the minds and souls of individuals who have spiritual duty. Sin is more than merely a transgression of the law. The spiritual fabric of life is tainted by this poison. Dark energy is added to the spiritual realm by every poor decision, betrayal, and act of cruelty. The divine equilibrium is distorted by this pollution, leading to irreversible fractures and deformities. It is now a spiritual issue impacting the entire cosmic order rather than only a human hardship. People unwittingly add to this increasing spiritual pollution when they reject divine instruction and turn away from God. The repercussions cause urgency and distortion in the invisible worlds as they spread outward. The divine warning is especially important now because of this. The spiritual world is overrun, and the consequences are showing up in hitherto unseen ways. To restore spiritual purity before the harm worsens, there is an urgent call to repentance. It serves as a reminder that the state of the world has a profound impact on our spiritual well-being, because they're the first targets and the first line of defense due to their spiritual connection. The chosen ones suffer first when the spiritual world becomes contaminated. Now is the time to bravely and humbly return to God in the midst of this spiritual upheaval. Particles that are invisible but extremely energetic have appeared that are unlike anything that can be seen in the physical world. These particles have the capacity to be extremely powerful and devastating. Born out of spiritual negativity, they now fly through the air, attempting to hit the selected with force and accuracy. They are much more terrible since they are invisible. They strike covertly, yet have a significant impact. These particles can be thought of as spiritual radiation, profoundly felt in the body and spirit, yet invisible to science. The spiritual and physical defenses we depend on for protection can be breached by their energy. This is a real spiritual attack with actual repercussions, not just a symbolic one. The particles bear the burden of the crimes committed by humanity, as well as the spiritual instability of an unbalanced planet. The first line of defense is to comprehend the nature of these particles. They are the result of the spiritual world's reaction to sin, but faith and divine intervention may counteract them. It's obvious how urgent it is. The chosen must move quickly to protect themselves from these moving particles. There have been instances throughout history where the material and spiritual realms have come together in remarkable ways. Legends and ancient writings describe enigmatic veils and fogs that materialized at periods of intense spiritual turmoil. These incidents, which represented a disintegration between the material and spiritual planes, sometimes coincided with heavenly warnings or disastrous occurrences. The direct targeting of the selected ones with these electrified particles, however, is what makes the current scenario unique. Spiritual fogs used to indiscriminately afflict whole communities. The spiritual attack, however, is now targeted and intimate. This change portends a more profound spiritual conflict that calls for awareness and readiness beyond anything seen before. This background information aids in our comprehension of the current warning's seriousness. We must respond to God's call with confidence and eagerness, just as our forefathers did when they sought safety and protection. This is a spiritual fork in the path where teachings from the past meet current issues. The spiritual legacy you leave behind will be determined by your current acts. Our current spiritual attack is essentially distinct from previous ones. For those who are spiritually aware, it is intense, focused, and dangerous. It is exactly because of their increased spiritual connection that the selected ones are susceptible. As a result, you become a light that attracts both heavenly favor and malevolent assaults. Your spiritual sensitivity exposes you to the influence of these electrified particles, whereas ordinary folks are untouched. This particular vulnerability necessitates a customized response. Normal safeguards won't be enough. To protect your body and spirit from these assaults, you must embrace heavenly measures created especially for that purpose. There is no other spiritual battlefield like this one. The stakes are bigger since your soul's integrity is at stake, not simply your physical health. You are called to be strong, to jealously protect your spiritual light, and to follow God's directions without question. Today, the distinction is that you are both the target and the warrior because of your spiritual awareness. Being with these unseen spiritual particles poses more than simply a metaphysical risk. There are actual bodily repercussions. Numerous selected individuals are already exhibiting symptoms that are beyond common comprehension. Abrupt emotional upheaval, difficult sleep, and unexplained gastrointestinal issues. These signals are unmistakable proof that the spiritual attack is starting and are not coincidental. The delicate equilibrium between the body, mind, and soul is upset by the particles. Feeling stuck in a haze of negativity, you can experience unexplained weariness, anxiety, or emotional instability. These symptoms are warning signs from the spiritual realm. They can cause severe disease or even spiritual despair if they're not addressed. You can take the threat more seriously if you are aware of these repercussions. It's an appeal for self-care and action on all fronts. These days, you cannot overlook the spiritual aspect of your health, because this is a war that impacts every part of your life. Spiritual protection is just as crucial as any physical intervention. God has given a straightforward but effective instruction in response to this invisible but lethal menace. Make a unique salt-infused locket and hang it on the front door of your house. This heavenly defense serves as a shield against the entering particles and a spiritual barrier. Salt has long been valued for its material and spiritual cleansing qualities. And it's your first line of defense now. A locket or container with a mixture of rock salt and wet salt must be hung near the entryway where the particles are trying to enter. This isn't your typical safety measure. It is a holy right that God has mandated to preserve the integrity of your house and everyone who lives there. The deed represents your readiness to follow heavenly instructions and establish a safe haven. You are actively contributing to your household's spiritual defense by obeying this command. This safeguard is not only symbolic, it works. An outward manifestation of God's defense against the invisible foe is an act of trust and preservation that is considered sacred. In addition to guarding your house, God has commanded you to always wear this salt-filled locket around your neck. This holy talisman turns into your own shield, a continual source of spiritual protection against the unseen attack. Even a brief removal creates vulnerability and allows for disease and spiritual assault. Wearing the locket is a sign of dedication and loyalty. It serves as a daily reminder of your spiritual struggle and the heavenly guardianship you are surrounded by. This holy item creates a strong barrier that no particle can pass through by combining the purity of salt with the energy of God's command. Numerous people have attested that donning the locket provides strength during times of weakness and serenity amid chaos. If you feel the abundance of divine love in your heart, now is the time to share it. You can help spread God's blessings by clicking the Super Thanks button on YouTube and contributing $20 or more. This divine gift will touch not only your life, but also the souls of many others through this platform. Each of you has a sacred place in God's great design, and your generosity will be the fruit of our prayers. Take action now. Share your blessings to exalt His kingdom, for you were created to do even greater things in God's loving hands. May God bless you. Dear brothers and sisters, may God's peace be with you today. I am here to remind you of a profound truth. Our existence is grounded in God's divine plan, unshaken by the world's fleeting concerns. As the Holy Bible says, everything done in faith will be rewarded by God's abundant blessings. Luke 6 verse 38. Like that mighty oak tree, our roots are deeply anchored in God's universal truth. Every step we take, every stance we hold is secure by His power. And now, you have the opportunity to be a part of this blessing. When you click the Super Thanks button and make a $100 donation, this act will return to you 100-fold. It's not only a tangible item, it is a representation of your faith, fortitude, and confidence in God's watchfulness. If you want to remain strong, you must never sever this holy bond. The selection of salt is deliberate. Wet salt, which represents regeneration and cleaning, and rock salt, which is recognized for its grounding and purifying properties, combine to provide a powerful defense against spiritual negativity. These organic substances are gifts from the soil that are infused with heavenly energy and are ideal for fighting the invisible particles. The crystalline structure of rocks and salts functions as a spiritual filter, absorbing and neutralizing negative energy before they can enter your body or house. Because of its wetness, wet salt symbolizes life and cleansing, eliminating the evil energies that hold onto spiritual realms. They provide a balanced, dynamic shield when combined. For generations, people from many cultures have utilized this holy combination to keep spiritual purity, purify areas, and ward off bad spirits. You are connecting with divine providence and ancient wisdom by using their power in the locket. It's a modest but effective defense that combines the strength of spirit and science. It is important to know when these spiritual particles have started to attack. Usually, physical symptoms appear first. Unexpected digestive problems, nausea, unexplained stomach aches, and sleep difficulties that leave you exhausted and restless. You may have unexpected, uncontrollable episodes of depression, anxiety, or rage that overwhelm you emotionally. These symptoms are not the result of psychological stress or chance. They serve as spiritual warnings. The invisible particles attempting to enter your spiritual realm are causing your body and soul to respond. These symptoms get worse if neglected, which might result in long-term sickness or spiritual weariness. Knowing these signs enables you to take immediate action. Early detection equates to early defense. Do not wait to hang the protective salt locket and wear it constantly as God has instructed if you or your loved ones start to experience these effects. It is essential to your spiritual and physical wellness. There are serious repercussions if you disregard this divine warning. One should not take God's wrath lightly. Any weakness brought about by disregarding or disobeying these holy safeguards is taken advantage of by the spiritual particles. Eliminating the locket, failing to hang it, or ignoring the message invites disease, spiritual deterioration, and heavenly wrath. History demonstrates that both justice and mercy accompany divine warnings. People suffer increasing repercussions when they disregard obvious warning signs and choose not to defend themselves spiritually. This is about honoring the delicate balance between free will and divine rule, not about being afraid. Your spiritual future as well as your health are impacted by your decision to follow or disregard this directive. It's an urgent call. To prevent pain later, protect yourself today. Divine wrath is a result of spiritual imbalance rather than a danger. Choose life, faith, and obedience. Although preparation is easy, it must be completed right away. First, collect the required supplies, which include wet salt and rock salt. Pack them carefully in a container or locket that is safe to hang on your front door. Place it in a visible location where it will act as a spiritual barrier to particles that are coming in. Next, make a similar locket that you can wear around your neck day or night, and that will stay there. Recognize the spiritual meaning and power of this locket and treat it with respect. Don't remove it until absolutely necessary. Then before putting it back on, wash both the locket and yourself. Lastly, practice spiritual grounding, meditation, and prayer every day to strengthen your faith. By doing these things, you unite yourself with divine protection and strengthen your spiritual shield. There is spiritual as well as physical preparation. Take immediate action to protect your body, your home, and your spirit. The strongest defense you have during these trying times is to remain steadfast in your beliefs. Your faith is powerful and palpable, even though the spiritual particles are unseen. It gives you immediate access to God's boundless love and protection, strengthening you against any spiritual attack. Keep in mind that you are not fighting this war alone. Around the world, countless selected individuals are stepping forward to take on this responsibility, bound together by faith and divine direction. The combination of God's commands is your spiritual protection, your submission, and your steadfast faith in His defense. Be brave and resolute and stand tall. Let this instance serve as evidence of your fortitude and trust. You have a godly barrier that no particle can penetrate when you wear the holy salt locket near your heart and put it on your door. Guard your soul, defend yourself, and bravely enter the light of God's everlasting grace. Those who pay attention to God's warning and become ready with unflinching faith will be blessed with an unbreakable promise. A passive shield is not all that divine protection is. The prepared selected are surrounded and embraced by this dynamic, potent force. This safeguard goes beyond simple safety. It offers clarity, serenity, and an unwavering faith that nothing can shatter. Consider living your life with a cloak made of the very fabric of God's kindness and love. The prize for your obedience is this: following the holy guidelines creates a spiritual haven that protects you from the enigmatic particles as well as from negativity, fear, and uncertainty in general. Your spiritual light will remain bright even when darkness tries to infiltrate it thanks to this holy barrier, which serves as a stronghold for your soul. Your house turns into a haven. No harmful power can pollute your body, which is a temple. It's a clear promise. Protection for both your spiritual and bodily well-being. The knowledge that you are never alone is another benefit of this promise. The greatest defender of all, God, is with you at all times, directing your every move and choice. Even when everything around you seems chaotic, this friendship gives you a deep sense of strength and optimism. Your spirit may soar and your heart can rest knowing that you are divinely protected, giving you the strength to face every day with grace and courage. Last but not least, receiving heavenly protection opens the door to immeasurable rewards. It is about thriving in religion, not just surviving. The selected and prepared are meant to be witnesses of miracles, grow spiritually, and be lights in a world in dire need. The skies open wide because of your constancy, bestowing upon you health, serenity, and heavenly favor. Now is the perfect time to click the Super Thanks button on YouTube and share God's blessings. You can contribute to His plan and become a part of this divine mission with a donation of $100 or more. Every gift reflects God's generosity, and I believe it will return to you multiplied beyond your expectations. Remember, His protection and blessings are with you in every step you take and every donation you make. You become part of His divine plan. You are a powerful, radiant being, unshakable like His mighty rock. Witness God's miracles, feel the fruits of your generosity in your soul, and illuminate the world with His confidence and courage. Be blessed, and may the Lord's light guide your way. The lovely promise is waiting for you right now. Enter it with courage. There is more to faithful loyalty than mere compliance. You and God have made a holy covenant, a profound manifestation of love and trust. You are opening the way to heavenly benefits that go much beyond this life on earth when you follow God's instruction to guard yourself with the salt locket and spiritual vigilance. When you obey, your spirit will be in harmony with God's will, letting go of benefits that feed your spirit and permeate all area of your life. Your dedication to obeying God's commands in the face of opposition from invisible forces shows that you have a heart that is prepared to give up control and have faith in the divine plan. Transformation is sparked by this surrender. It allows divine grace to freely flow, mending scars, releasing fear, and reviving hope. Your spiritual path is fueled by obedience, which takes you into places of joy and serenity that many people desire, but few really experience. Faithful obedience has permanent and profoundly satisfying benefits, which are not necessarily instantaneous or tangible. They show up as resilience, knowledge, and an unwavering spirit. You turn into a lighthouse and an encouragement to those who might be struggling in the dark. Heavenly benefits also include protection from spiritual damage, direction when you're lost, and the assurance that you're in God's favor. Above all, your connection with God is strengthened when you obey faithfully. It draws you into a holy connection with the divine and strengthens your spiritual closeness. Your decisions turn into a live prayer that reverberates across the sky and draws you nearer to the assurance of everlasting life. The journey starts with a single act of trust, and the rewards are invaluable. Every spiritual crisis offers the potential for a complete reset, a release of past burdens, and the beginning of a new era of heavenly gifts. This current wave of spiritual particles is a potent trigger for regeneration as well as a test. A new beginning, a spiritual rebirth that will light their way ahead like never before, is what those who answer with faith and preparedness are getting ready for. This reset entails purging your life of any faults, transgressions, and spiritual impurities. It's a call to purify your thoughts and emotions in order to realign with God's ideal design. Imagine it as morning after a long night, a period of time when the light of healing and optimism overwhelms the dark forces. Accepting this reset allows for the restoration of happiness, meaning, and spiritual vigor. Furthermore, this spiritual reset is both personal and collective. Communities and even entire nations are transformed as a result of the collective energy shifting as more chosen ones rise in obedience and faith. Being prepared does more than just keep you safe. It helps bring light into the world's darkest corners and leads to a broader awakening. The selected are ready to guide mankind toward a more promising and peaceful future together. Hope and heavenly favor abound in the promise of this new era. Miracles, discoveries, and benefits that have been denied up to this point should be anticipated. The secret to releasing this abundance is your preparedness. Accept the spiritual reset wholeheartedly and get ready to enter a time when God's gifts will be abundant beyond measure. Spiritual challenges are not something that should be taken lightly. It requires tenacity and unshakable confidence. Your determination will be put to the test as these spiritual particles attack, testing your emotional, physical, and spiritual limitations. However, your actual strength is created in this maelstrom. Your armor is perseverance, a conscious effort to resist giving in to uncertainty, hopelessness, or terror. You wear the holy locket every day and obey God's instructions for protection. You develop resilience. Your spiritual muscles get stronger and your faith gets deeper. This perseverance is a statement that you will not back down from any internal conflicts or invisible assaults. It functions similarly to a lighthouse, steadily and immovably leading people to safety among roaring waves. Keep in mind that perseverance is a process. There will be times when you will feel weak, but that is when you should much more rely on God's strength. Connecting with the divine, praying, and meditating become essential lifelines. Make perseverance a daily decision and a spiritual practice that helps you stay in accordance with God's plan and protection. Others will be inspired by your perseverance. Your perseverance in the face of hardship is a remarkable testament in a world when many people give up. You turn into a real-life illustration of how faith overcomes everything, demonstrating that hope and light triumph even in the most dire circumstances. Hold on tight. Perseverance is the key to victory. You can become a catalyst for miracles and supernatural interventions that defy reason and change your reality when you faithfully prepare in accordance with God's mandate. It is not passive to prepare. It's a proactive call for God's might to intervene in your favor. Your obedience creates the conditions for unfathomable protection, healing, and spiritual breakthroughs. Often, miracles start off softly. Unexpected answers, a sudden calm in chaos, or an enigmatic sense of security while peril is imminent. These instances are indications that your acts of faith are having an impact on God. There is more to the salt locket than just protection. It is a channel of heavenly energy that dispels spiritual assaults and makes room for miracles to occur. Being prepared with faith also allows you to be blessed in ways you never would have thought possible. It might seem like a breath of fresh air as you experience spiritual clarity, emotional restoration, or restored health. These miracles serve as a reminder that God is always there and that even in your darkest hours, you are never alone. Above all, your readiness and the miracles it brings about encourage more faith and affection for God. You start to understand that anyone who sincerely seeks and obeys can get divine intervention. It is not uncommon. Miracles become a normal part of your spiritual journey, adding amazement and optimism to your path. Now is your time to stand and completely assume your role as God's chosen spiritual fighter. Though invisible, the fight is real, intense, and requires bravery, faith, and unflinching dedication. You are supposed to stand as a light in the darkness, a defender of divine truth and love, not only to protect oneself. There is more to being a spiritual warrior than battling unseen foes. It entails developing inner strength, conquering your anxieties, and exuding an inspiring faith. It's about praying constantly, standing fast to defend others, and having a kind heart. Your task is essential and holy. Your bravery and preparedness will determine your success in the spiritual world. Embracing your spiritual gifts, discernment, knowledge, and resilience is another aspect of rising. These gifts can help you get through difficult times and make it possible for you to help others along the way. You are a member of a heavenly army bound together by purpose and faith. Every selected fighter is vital to the impending triumph. Accepting this responsibility gives you a sense of empowerment and deep significance. You become a stronger, wiser, and more compassionate person as a result of your spiritual struggles. Be a fighter and stand tall. For you and the globe. Your ascent signifies the beginning of hope. The selected who persevere will emerge into a future full of promise, clarity, and heavenly benefits, despite the fact that these times feel bleak and unclear. A strong light lies beyond the spiritual darkness. It is only a momentary spiritual storm, a chapter that sets you up for a new life full of joy and purpose. Every level of rehabilitation is in store for the future. Spiritual powers are completely awakened, emotional traumas are healed, and physical health is restored. Your obedience will pay off in ways that will make you feel amazed and thankful. The darkness you are currently facing is only a precursor to a bright morning in which God's favor will be evident. You will be surrounded by a group of other selected individuals who have been reinforced and purified after the blackout. You too will usher in a new age of spiritual awareness by sharing your experience-based wisdom with others. Your path turns into an example of the strength of divine grace and trust. This future is a close reality rather than a far-off ideal. Every time you obey, you go nearer to this light. Don't give up. Your fate awaits you beyond the shadows, bright and triumphant. You may become isolated as a result of your spiritual struggles. Yet isolation is also a blessing and a hallowed place for introspection and profound personal development. You have the chance to reestablish a deeper connection with God's presence and your own self during these peaceful times, away from the bustle and distractions of the outside world. Make the most of this time by studying holy books, praying, and meditating. Allow the isolation to serve as a forge where your spiritual abilities are awoken, your faith is strengthened, and your character is nurtured. The difficulties you encounter are opportunities to strengthen your faith in God and find strength you never knew you had. Clarity, or the ability to hear God's voice more clearly and determine His intention for your life, is another benefit of solitude. This spiritual development gives you the ability to handle obstacles in the future with grace and wisdom. In reality, what seems like loneliness is a prelude to deeper purpose and connection. Never forget that you're never really alone. God travels with you alone, and the groundwork for your biggest spiritual discoveries is being laid during this time of growth. Accept the silence. It is where metamorphosis begins. The seed of recovery and rebirth is there in every gloomy season. After the storm passes and the spiritual particles have dissipated,